Hello there, thank you so much for being part of today's episode. My name is Princess Amarachi. How are you doing? How's it been for you? Well, thank you very much for being part of today's episode. And I have a question from a friend that I want us to look into. And she sent this question because she was very much upset with something. And the responses she was getting from her friend made her ask me, does being angry make me bad? Is it bad to be angry? Well, I think that question is something most of us have thought about. In fact, almost everyone you see at one point or the other have been upset, angry with something or another, either when you were small till now. No matter how much you want to hide it, we've been upset at one point or the other. Now the question is, are those moments that you were upset, were you a bad person? Does that make you really bad? Okay, so let's start with what anger is in essence. Anger is a fierce pain, a fierce dissatisfaction that we feel when something we don't want, something we don't like happens to us. It's an emotion that is triggered by a hormone called cortisol, and it sends that signal to our brain telling us that this is bad. And one difference with anger and other emotional dissatisfaction that we might feel is that anger is very much fierce, and most times it has an action backing it. If you don't take an action on it, you might not really calm down. So that's why it seems like anger is one broad emotion that everyone really wants to hold on to and try to make a statement out of it. So having known what anger is, do you think it's something that someone should wake up one morning and decide that it is bad, seeing that it is something that's living in us? It's a hormone that which everyone was born with. If you're a human being, you definitely have been angry at one point or the other. So tell me, have you ever been upset before? And what is it that's made you very much upset? And if you've not been dissatisfied before, I really need your help right now. Like, I need you in the comment telling us how you've managed to do that, how you've managed to live your life without being angry. I have friends that people give this compliment that this friend, I've not seen her ever get upset before. I've not seen her angry in her life. She's a happy person. Of course, there are people like that, but I think there's an exaggeration to that because there are times they are really upset, but it is how they've managed to handle it, how they're able to express it, makes it seem as if they are either not angry or not too angry in life. So, are you in that clique of people who are always called the happy people? They are really the envy of all. If you are in that clique, please raise your hand in the comments so we can see you. So anger in its essence is not bad. If you're upset, if you ever get upset at things, it's not bad in its own way. But what makes anger very much dangerous is how you react to it and the frequency with which you react to it. Some people are tagged hot-tempered, although it's something I don't want someone to hang on to. I don't think that's a character, a trait that you need to hang on to and say, I'm always hot-tempered, I'm always hot-tempered. Please, don't take it in. You're not hot-tempered, you are even-tempered. Yeah, so some people really are easily irritated and they get angry. That's not even the main issue. The main issue is, how do you react when you are angry? Do you make a mess of the whole situation? Do you make the situation worse than it is before with your reaction? That's what makes anger look dangerous. Like, you remember I said that when you are upset, what makes it much more fierce is that it comes with a fierce pain that wants you to take an action based on that emotion. And when we talked about owning your emotion, we said you don't have to act on it at that moment. You don't have to do what is coming or bubbling in your spirit at that moment, especially when you know in the long run you're going to regret it. So anger doesn't really make you bad. Being angry doesn't make you bad. You have to be upset when things are not going on right. You have to be upset when people do things that are not right, or things that are not okay with you. You can't just be an oh yes member. You can't just say yes to every side, yes to every side. You understand? But how do you say this no? How do you say no, I don't agree with this? How do you say this hurts me? How do you say I'm obsessed with this? How do you throw out that obsession? How do you throw out that pain, rather, that you have over something? It's what really matters. That's what makes you mature. That's what makes that you have owned your emotion at that moment. And that's what makes your anger admirable. Some people admire people's anger because of the way they are able to handle it. Now, what distinguishes one person, Mr. A, from Mr. B, is how they respond to situations, how they react to issues, how proactive they are to issues. So Mr. A comes back home and the wife is ranting and nagging, and that really gets him upset. And Mr. B comes back home and still experiences the same issue. They have an option. Mr. A has the option to either beat up his wife, join in the nagging session, and stir the home. Mr. B has another option to engage the wife in a conversation or keep her quiet, maybe take a walk. You see? But that doesn't mean that he's not obsessed with that. He's really angry with that. He can decide to talk with her later. Well, I'm not here to give you step-by-step guidelines on how you should react when you're upset. I believe we're mature enough to know. And maybe you need to check a look at Owning Your Emotions episode so you can understand. But what I'm saying in this episode is that being angry doesn't make you bad. It just makes you human. But what's more important is how you respond to your anger. Well, that's my response to that question from my friend on being angry and how bad it is. I hope that answered your question. Well, I would like you to also check out the comments, and please do want to drop your comments so that we can get your own response on this question. Do you think being angry is bad in totality, or do you think it's how you react to it that matters? I'll be waiting for your comments right here. But all the same, thank you so much for watching. Do well to share to your friend, subscribe, and drop your comments. But until then, keep living from within to without. Take care.